Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. We're on our United show today, Devil's Advocate, and today I'm joined by two very special guests here this evening. So to my right, I'm joined by new podcast regular Jamie McKay, and also below me, making his first appearance on the channel today is Doug, aka G Song Doug, as you can see in his handle. And so today, look, it's a massive, game coming ahead tomorrow against RB Leipzig in the Champions League. Manchester United need a point to go through, but as it says in the title of the video, this is must win for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think as all Manchester United fans, drawn isn't an option. We want to go for the win. So obviously the topics of conversation here tonight, we're going to reflect on the West Ham game on the weekend, and we're going to look ahead to our Leipzig game and give our thoughts on the game and our starting 11 stuff like that. And obviously, we're going to address the elephant in the room. Obviously, that parasite Mino Raiola coming out making some comments about Paul Pogba today. But look, that is something we'll delve into later on the show. And then at the end of the show today, as you can see by my bowl here, we are making the draw for the weekly armchair kickoff FIFA 21 quarterfinals for the tournament. And obviously, that draw goes from the quarterfinals all the way then up to the final. I will talk about that at the end of the show. Right. So the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is obviously the win against West Ham on the weekend. It was a game of two halves almost. First half, West Ham massively dominated, and really we were lucky to be where we were at half time, though at 2-0 down. And 1-0 down. Sorry, 1-0 down. Hear me, 2-0. I'm thinking about Southampton, but we're lucky to be 1-0 down, just 1-0 down. Like, there was a lot of chances West Ham had. Sebastian Haller had a nightmare. He should have put that away. And West Ham were really the boss team, and United didn't really create too much in the first half. Then in the second half, we went out and Ollie rang the changes. Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford come on, while Mata comes on, and the whole shape of the game just changed at that point. You seen there was more fluidity to United's attack, and we ultimately ran out comfortable winners at the end. But Jamie, I'm going to come to you first and briefly just give us your thoughts on the game against West Ham and kind of what you made of it, and kind of what kind of negatives and positives that you took from the game.
Yeah, obviously, first and foremost, we got the 3 points, which I think we needed big style going into such a big game tomorrow. But obviously won't touch on the Leipzig game too much because that's what the show's about. So I'll keep it brief on that at the moment. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Southampton game, Keane, because it was another one of them, wasn't it? We seemed to have to go. I know it was only a goal down this time, to start playing some football and getting our head in gear. But if we're realistic about it, we could have been 3 or 4-0 down. And that's the worry for me. Against the bigger teams, you will be 4 or 5-0 down against the top teams. So that's a massive worry. But the game as a whole, I think second half we made the correct changes, and obviously a lot was said about dropping Bruno. As soon as I seen it, I know you're a big lover of Bruno, Keane, so I'm sure you'll come on to him in a minute anyway. But I was quite excited for him to get a little bit of a break, because I do feel like we do have to manage him, although I don't think we can afford to at the moment, which is a bit of a worry going longer into the season, because I just hope he doesn't hit a bit of a brick wall. He can't sort of play every single minute, and we don't seem to be able to not play him at the moment. We look like we can't create anything. So I was quite excited to see Donny in that role, and it kind of just didn't really happen. I did feel a bit sorry for him getting hooked at half-time, purely for the fact of he's a progressive passer going forward, and I thought that's what we lacked. We needed a little bit of intricacy, and if we would have had Bruno on and Van de Beek, I think we would have definitely been a lot more fluid, a lot more earlier in that game. But I thought Marcus Rashford was absolutely phenomenal when he came on. He completely changed the game, give us a complete performance for the time he was on the pitch. Obviously, later on he replaced Tony on the left. I thought he was really, really poor. And I think he has been for a couple of weeks now, maybe even a good month, if I'm being honest. But good to see Greenwood go down the middle. I've been sort of advocate of, if we're not playing Cavani, I want to see Mason down the middle. So took his goal absolutely fantastic, and then obviously Rashford got the game killer. But as a whole, I suppose it's a positive because we got the win. But I mean, we could sit here all night and dissect that performance and take it to pieces, couldn't we? But I'm going to let Doug have his shot in a minute. I don't want to talk too much about it, but yeah, I just think confidence boost wise, it's a massive, like, because if they were sitting on that plane on Sunday night going over to Germany, knowing that they've just been beaten well, which that's what could have happened in the first half, it might have just dropped their heads. So now they've got a little bit of confidence. And what I will say as well, I know we're going to probably have a little feast on Pogba later, so won't say too much on him, but I know I did say keep Donny off. I would have probably took Paul off purely for the fact of he doesn't seem to turn up a lot at the moment, but what a fantastic finish that was.
I think he actually played well.
Yeah, he did.
I know we're going to talk about Pogba like in terms of like the news that's after coming out today, but I thought he was tidy in the ball. I thought Pogba, like, he always wanted to bring it forward, and I think that's something you've seen. I think Scott McTominay was absolutely useless the other day. Again, these games don't suit him. Scott McTominay's a player you play when you don't have the ball.
Yeah, I think he didn't really get much of a mention as well, but I think Henderson played really well as well. And I thought Juan Mata was quality when he came on. He gave us just exactly what we needed at the time in the game, and some of his passing was fantastic. His passing going forward is fantastic. He can really break them lines up with one pass, and him and Bruno are a big problem when they're on it. So I think that was a plus point as well. It wouldn't surprise me to see Mata tomorrow because I feel like we're going to maybe need to control the game a little bit better instead of sort of going gung-ho. But yeah, I will let Doug have his say now anyway. I've said enough.
And Doug, with regards to, like, obviously the performance on Saturday, what did you take from the game? What are the positives and what kind of negatives do you take from the game?
Yeah, I think for me, I've always sort of questioned for a long time now, sort of like the pre-match tactics and what the team actually works on, throughout the week to prepare for games. Because there's a lot of times that this United side goes into matches and, we just look not really organized, or even from a tactical perspective, like we really worked on who the opposition is and what it's going to take with the 11 that we put out there to break them down or to play cohesive football up from back to front and really do that grouping. And that's why what you saw in that first half was a disorganized team. You saw a team that looked void of any sort of creativity. There was one part at like the 27th or 28th minute where I was livid because we were moving into their end of the pitch and literally everyone in the offensive half, which was about 6 or 7 United players, were all walking, like including our forward line. And I'm like, no one's making a run. No one's doing it. And like, we're legitimately walking right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, not only do we look like shit, but we're out there walking too. And that to me also goes to, and Keane knows this, like I'm with him sort of on the Bruno FC bandwagon because it's like, he brings so much more than just creativity. He brings fire. He brings passion. And like, that's what you saw in the second half. Like,
he brings everyone to his level. Like he drags everyone else like up to a next level.
Yeah.
Nobody ever talks about his work rate, do they? His work rate is absolutely fantastic. Like he's strong into the tackles. He's just a born winner, ain't he? I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, he is. And then to me, it's I would have brought off Martial. I agree with that because he's, unfortunately, I think he's someone where trying to get him to play through it doesn't seem to be working. I think there's something that's got to be going on with him, right? And then I would have brought off McTominay because I just thought that he wasn't providing anything. Like his passing was terrible. He was getting drifted past almost every single time they were coming through. I mean, once again, you almost saw a repeat of the PSG goal where Bowen basically just drifted past him and Tellez down that left-hand side and played one in. And if they could finish better, they would have finished that one because it went back post again. But it's like we just didn't look very good on that front 45, and then you bring in Bruno, and from about the 60th minute on, we just look like a completely different team. Like we started to move better from back to front. He was that creative spark that was just really driving all of the energy. Unfortunately, we took off Cavani, and then we also lost Martial later on. But luckily, Rashford, to your guys' point, played really well. Greenwood stepped up and actually had another nice little goal to get him ready. Pogba hit his worldie, and I know we just talked about it, but we're going to talk about Pogba, but that's what's pissing me off about what the Pogba news was today, is because we did actually take a good 3 points away, albeit we had to play from being down again, but we actually were carrying momentum into this huge game against Leipzig, because to me, a lot of people are focused on the derby at the weekend. To me, this game on Tuesday is everything. This dictates the rest of the season, in my opinion, because you win, you're in the round of 16, and you can, whatever happens there, but you made it through. So if you go out, and you can then focus on the league. The problem is if you lose, you're down in the Europa League, meaning you're playing Thursday nights and then the weekend again. And we all remember how terrible that was. Yeah. So if you don't win the Europa League, you don't get the Champions League. So now you have to focus on the league as well and prioritizing still getting top 4 in that. And then what we just talked about, who's the one guy you can't have off the pitch? Bruno. So you're going to burn him out between January, February, March. So by the time you get to the end of the season, what sort of condition is he going to be in to get us across the line?
We've seen that last season. You seen at the back end of last season, he was still contributing, right? Don't get me wrong. Bruno Fernandes at the end of last season was still contributing. He was still scoring goals and creating, getting assists. What we've seen towards in the back end, the last kind of 4 or 5 games, he was burnt out.
He was burnt.
He was finished. It's a massive. This game tomorrow is absolutely massive, and I just hope. I know we'll get onto it a bit in a minute, but I just hope Ollie picks the right team and he's brave. Ollie needs to be brave tomorrow. I think that's one thing he needs to be. Just elaborating on the West Ham game, Shane, podcast regular, has commented. He said the front three were way too static. Rashford changed the game when he came on because he was stretching the pitch. Yeah, you've seen that, didn't you, lads? When Rashford came on, he was very direct. He was making forward runs. He was always taking on defenders. He was always trying to beat a man. But he was all out that left flank. He was hogging that touchline and he was stretching him. And then what he did do then when he got the ball, he was running at players, and then it made space then for Alex Telles to get in on the overlap. Because in the first half he couldn't do that with Martial because Martial was way too static. Do you know what I mean? So I think that provided kind of more space for Telles. And then again, you see when Bruno came on, just created 8 chances in 45 minutes. That's the most of anyone in a 90-minute period over this season in the Premier League, which Bruno only done in 45 minutes, which again adds to my propaganda. Best midfielder in the world. But look,
I'll say this much too, though. With Rashford, we're almost getting into the same thing that we just talked about with Bruno, where Rashford's in really good form right now, but he still has a bad shoulder. And what did we do last year? We played him through a back injury, and he ended up getting it even worse. And so we're unfortunately getting to that stage now where, because the fixtures are every 3-4 days, and we're starting to lose people through some injury. We just lost Martial and Cavani. We don't know how long they're going to be out for, right? Pogba, now with this whole thing, if we ever even play him again, which honestly, at this stage, I don't think you should, but we'll get into that. But so now you're having to get people out there that are either inexperienced or shouldn't be out there, meaning maybe a Dan James, and I don't know everyone's opinions on Dan James, but you might have to play him. And so
Keane smile.
Lads, I have a comment in here from Shane Dowley. This is live. This comment has to be put on screen because me and him had disagreements in the past. This has to come on screen. I've seen the light. Wow. Might be to go.
Go on, Shane boy.
Oh, that's it now. That's my night made. That's my night made.
End the show. No, but
I could end the show right there.
I think what you were saying earlier, Doug, was spot on, mate, to be fair. I don't think it's talked about enough when you were mentioning if we go into the Europa League and doing the Thursday, Sunday games, because obviously don't want to talk about them too much at the moment, but I think Arsenal are dealing with that badly at the moment. They're trying to play on a Thursday, and then they're sort of trying to... I know they're nowhere near as good as us squad-wise, but I think they're struggling big style with it, and I don't think it's talked about enough, that whole Europa League situation when you do have to play sort of 2 games in the space of 3-4 days. It's difficult on the players, especially when you've got the likes of Bruno and Rashford that probably could do with a rest. You know what I mean? And you won't be able to rest them in them games. And like you said, towards the end of last season, it was just burnout. But nobody ever mentions that Europa League situation. I've always said, if we're not going to go through in the Champions League, I'd rather come fourth.
Go out. Yep.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like what you saw against West Ham in that first half was what United was pre-Bruno. So again, take him out, because let's say through injury, through whatever, through just, fatigue, he has to sit out for a handful of games in a row. That's basically the team you're looking at, was that first half against West Ham.
Yeah.
Again, we were just saying that was quite possibly the worst half that United's had in a long time, basically since he's come in.
Yeah, that's what that first half looked like. It was like the start of last season when Pogba was out, and we didn't have Bruno either at the club at the time. It looked like that, but I wouldn't say not as. It was as bad. I'm going to be hard. It was bad.
That was
very
pathetic.
bad.
That was
And
pathetic.
think about that was without the likes of Lingard and Dan James on the pitch, because they played the majority of the last season, up until January. So it bears to think, if we don't win this game tomorrow or even get a draw and get through, we could be in trouble.
It's an absolutely massive game, ain't it?
It's huge.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't really look at the derby at the weekend as all that telling of where we are, because we've seen that we can beat them before. We beat them, what,
3 out of 4
times last year?
Yeah, 3 out of the last 4. Yeah.
Right. So I don't necessarily look at that and say that's a good marker for where we're going as a club. I look at tomorrow's game and saying that is everything. That's going to dictate what we do for the rest of the season, how we play, how we perform, what sort of 11 we can even put out there. And so that's where it's so frustrating to come off a game like we had against West Ham at the weekend, where we come back, we win, we have some momentum. It feels like the team is vibing. We've won a handful of games in a row, minus we did drop against PSG, but I think that one, it is what it is. But now you move into this Pogba bullshit, and it's like, for fuck's sake, we can't just get some, even when we're talking about consistency, we just can't even get it in the off the field stuff, because now the team has to go into this and actually, account for all this shit instead of focusing in on the game.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to get to Pogba now in a moment, but Doug, I'm just going to actually, Shane as a comment here, I was going to pose this question to you. It says, what do you think of United's most balanced / best midfield pairing, and what's a realistic midfield sign you like us to make in January? Brezuma or Calvin Phillips for me. What would be your opinion on that, Doug?
I mean, we need a CDM. We all know that. We need a top class CDM, and I think if you get a top class CDM, that opens you up to play more expansive football. We don't have to sit back and protect Maguire and Lindelof as much, because you've got someone sitting right in front of them who can do the work rate of McTominay and Fred. And so I think that would allow you, unfortunately, now that he's going to be out, that would have potentially allowed you to play more of a Pogba, Bruno, Van de Beek diamond, or now if you want to just go with a 4-3-3, you could sit said center defensive midfielder and maybe Bruno and Donny van der Beek in the middle with, a Martial, Rashford, Cavani, Greenwood, whatever your combo you want to do up front, and you play much more attacking style football. So for me, I'd rather see Pogba, and I know I have to jump off soon, but to me, just in my opinion real quick on it, I'm never letting him put on a United kit again. If this is all true and he doesn't come out and say anything to either renounce what Riola said, I don't let him step anywhere near the pitch. I don't let him step near the club. I tell him, you can go back to France and kick it. We'll figure out what to do with you, but you shouldn't be around the club right now, because you're too much. It's too much, and you're toxic now. And so I sit back and I go, Donny van der Beek can connect the center defensive midfielder with Bruno up top. He gets into really good positions, both defensively and offensively. His press is really good. So I just, for some reason, and Keane's heard me go on about this, I don't know why we don't start him every game. Now I think he might get that chance with Bruno. So to me, if you prioritize a really top-end CDM, I don't know if we get him in January, but at least in the summertime, you can actually go back to a really good 4-3-3 and play much more attacking and actually go after people versus being reactionary, play defensive, sit back, and wait to counterattack. So, I mean, personally, you can't get somebody like Ndidi. Partey's obviously gone. personally, I didn't mind the way that Declan Rice looked. I think he's developed his game nicely. I wouldn't say he'd be my first choice, but like
was waiting for that.
Rice has developed nicely. I actually used to think he was a shit footballer and like he just was overhyped because he's English. But I've seen him play a couple times this year, and he's got a nice little shot to him if he gets up into the opponent's like top of the 18. He tracked down Rashford. He had that game-saving tackle. He had that tackle last game against us with Rashford. Like he stepped up his game a little bit. And if there was nobody else we could get, albeit I know he's probably going to go to Chelsea because he's BFS with Mason Mount, but like I wouldn't be opposed to him if you can't get someone like an Ndidi. I don't know who else we could get from a CDM perspective. That's really
Shane's comment there, Doug. He said Calvin Phillips from Leeds United. Would you take him?
Possibly. He'd be one to look at. It just depends. I mean, I just don't want us spending on someone because even Leeds, I think Leeds would hold us over a barrel, and like we would end up paying more for someone that it's not that they're unproven, but it's more like, is it worth that amount of investment for someone versus like an Ndidi that we know is Premier League proven, has played for Leicester, has shown he can do it. I don't know if he's available, but like I want someone of that level of pedigree that we know with relative certainty that our dollars are going to be well spent.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, if we've got to buy a specialist in that position. I don't think there's no point penny pinching and trying to sort of bring we need a proven quality central defensive midfielder. If we're going to go in the market position, it's got to be we've got to have the money there, and we've got to be willing to pay for it.
Well, if we go for like any player like a Rice, Calvin Phillips, Ndidi, well, name them three out there, they're going to have their pants pulled down. Like I can tell you for a fact, you're going to have to pay a premium for all of them, especially Declan Rice and Phillips because they're English.
Rice
and then
will
tax on top of that.
Yeah, Rice for sure. I mean, this is what really pissed me off about the summertime that we didn't get Thomas Partey because he was relatively cheap, all things considered. We could have kept him off a rival club in Arsenal, and he would have fit into our midfield really well. And it's like we spent so much of the time, shitting around on Sancho only to not get him. That like it was just such a disaster that we could have actually solved one of our biggest needs with Thomas Partey, and we just didn't even. It seems like to me like we didn't even look at him or consider him. And so
that was ignorant. I thought that was ignorant of United not to go for him, especially 43 million for what he was available for was steal. And Doug, I understand. Look, you have to jump off soon, so I'm just going to pose this question to you. Two questions here quickly. First of all, would you sell Paul Pogba in January?
Depending on what we get. And I know we were kind of chopping it up before the show, but to me, I don't panic. I don't play him, but I don't panic. Because what I want is to make sure we either maximize the amount of money we get back from him, or if we are doing player swaps, we get people that are actually beneficial to helping the team and not driving us from a marketing or branding perspective. And my example to you guys was, I don't trade him to Juventus for Dybala, because Dybala to me is unproven. He's just as inconsistent as Pogba is. And we've already known he doesn't want to come to United. So why would you trade for him? Oh, because we could get some kit sales and we could use him for marketing? Like, no. So for us, like if we're going to do it, I piss him off by not playing him. And actually, like I said, I wouldn't even let him near the squad. And then two, I would sit back and really maximize and do something that's actually beneficial from a United standpoint instead of pleasing, the marketing budget. So basically Ed Woodward. Or Pogba, meaning he gets his dream swap and we just get him off the books, but we end up taking shit players that we don't need. So, yeah.
And just the final one, Doug, and just before you go, what's your score prediction for tomorrow?
So Leipzig has been leaking goals like sieves, but I think it really depends on the 11 that we start with, and I think Pogba now changes that a little bit. I personally think this has like a 2-2-3-3 written all over it, where it's a lot of back and forth. I don't think they beat us, but I think we barely eke out a draw, but I don't think it's going to be that 5-0 that we saw in the first leg. I think they've gotten better. You have to remember, they're ahead of Dortmund right now in the table. Like, they lost Timo Werner, and they're still ahead of Dortmund in the Bundesliga in the table right now. So they're still a good quality side. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, this probably has like a 2-2, maybe a 3-3 written all over it. We advance based on a draw, but I don't think we win 5-0 like we did in that first leg.
No, I don't think either. But we'll delve into that further on the show. Doug, thanks very much for coming on. I know I got you on short notice, saying I know you're kind of
boys.
much for time. But look, I'm definitely going to have you back on very soon because the content on the United show to roll out. So again, look, I really do appreciate you coming on this evening.
We'll do it, boys. All right, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
You too.
Take it easy, Doug.
So, lads, that was Doug, and he's one of our new contributors to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. So, it was good to have him on tonight, and he will be on future shows and going forward. Just looking ahead, Jamie, obviously, to Leipzig, massive game tomorrow in the course of United season. Looks like United are going to have to do it the hard way, like we always love to do it. That it looks like that Istanbul game we could be regretting.
Yeah.
We could be regretting that loss. But looking at tomorrow's game, I'm just going to come to you with this in terms of starting 11s. Because obviously we played a diamond against them the first time. The diamond worked really well, but Julian Nagelsmann is so tactically astute. He's going to be looking at this. He's going to have something set up for the diamond. Do you go with the diamond? Do you go back to the back three maybe? Do you go back to the 4-2-3-1? What system and what starting 11 are you playing tomorrow against RB Leipzig?
I think I'm hoping Ollie and his staff have sat down and sort of worked out a game plan here, because if we go in and just sort of have that mentality of, right, I'm going to put my 11 out, you're going to put yours, and we'll have a shoot, I don't think that's necessarily the way we can approach tomorrow. If it was up to me personally, Keane, I know you've asked me the tactics directly as to what I would choose. I would go with the three at the back. I think we've got to try and make this game ugly tomorrow, because I think they're going to be really up for it. They're coming off of the back of a pretty tough game against Bayern Munich, but they scored 3 goals. They conceded 3 goals as well. But to score 3 goals against the European champions shows that if you get the chances, you're going to score the goals. So I think we've got to be very switched on tomorrow from the first whistle. We can't afford to go over there and not turn up for 20 minutes and just coast through the game, because we could be 2-3-0 down. They were missing one of their really key midfielders when they come to Old Trafford. He did come on a little bit. Bear with me a little. I know Connor quite well, so I'll answer his question in a minute. I work with him. He's a good kid. I'll answer you in a minute, Connor. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I just think we've got to be really switched on tomorrow. Tactically, got to be really clued up. We've got to be really good defensively. So I feel like we need to be solid at the back, and the best way to do that is probably to go to a free. I'm not a massive lover of a free, but I feel like it could probably be beneficial tomorrow, because Nagelsmann does predominantly go with a one central striker. So I feel like we can combat that sort of thing with a free back. I don't like a free back personally, but I think for this fixture it could be quite beneficial for us, because if we can get Bruno Fernandes on the ball, if we can get the likes of Telles and Wan-Bissaka on the ball a little bit sort of deeper into their half, instead of sort of having to defend in ours, and have that sort of 3 at the back cover, it might give us an opportunity to get a little bit of quality into the box, and maybe nick one on Cavani in the box. He's can finish his chances on with his headers. So I feel like that's maybe an avenue to have a look at. But like from start to finish, we've got to be on it tomorrow, and I do think we've got the quality to win the game. I think we can go out there and get a win. But I'll be interested to see what you think, Keane, because I'm a little bit nervous for tomorrow. I'll be honest with you. I think we can get the job done, but the fact that it's over there and Nagelsmann, like you say, you think he's going to pick one formation, and then 20 minutes into the game they're playing a completely different one. I just hope Ollie's inexperience don't catch him out. I know we give them a good hiding at Old Trafford, but I don't think that's going to be the case tomorrow. I think it's going to be a cagey game, and I think a 1-0 or a 2-1 I would probably be going with. But yeah, I'll let you and hear what you've got to say, mate. But Connor, don't worry, I'll come back to you in a minute, mate.
Yeah, like, look, for me, I think I've been thinking about this all day because I obviously knew I had this podcast planned, and I'm thinking to myself today as to what I do myself. Originally, before that dickhead came out, meaning Raiola, I was thinking, right, we start Paul Pogba in this midfield, but I'm not starting him. I'm in that camp as well. He doesn't play for me. There's too much controversy around it. But before I get to my point, we're joined by another very special guest right now. He's coming in for a dramatic appearance. Here is Mr. Shane Dowley. Shane Dowley is back on the podcast here today. He's coming in like number 30 in the Royal Rumble. He's just making an appearance there. How are you?
Love that, man.
How are you, Shane?
It's not too bad. Nervous.
Nervous. I'm going to come to you in terms of Pogba and this, your kind of system and starting 11 in the moment, Shane. But for me, lads, I'm just feeling like I was going to go with the diamond tomorrow and play Greenwood, Rashford up front, and I was going to go with the midfield with Matic, Pogba, McTominay, Bruno, and Greenwood and Rashford up top. And now since Pogba is obviously probably out of the question tomorrow due to the comments. I don't know if Ollie brings him back into the team. But for me, I'm going tomorrow with I'm going to 3-5-2 tomorrow. I think it's probably the best. It's probably the safest option we probably have tomorrow with regards to keeping the game safe for us, especially the way we've been kind of leaking defensively. I know we've won games, but Shane keeps dropping in and out. I think he's like waiting.
Got a Harry Potter cloak on, and he keeps disappearing and then coming back.
But for me, I'm going back with the 3-5-2 tomorrow. I'm going David De Gea in goal, even though Ian Henderson did play well the other night. But this game, we need our most experienced goalkeeper in, and if he's fit, David De Gea starts for me in goal. Right wing back, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Again, look, he didn't play well the other night, but look, I start him. Tomorrow. Axel Tuanzebe is back from suspension. He goes in there tomorrow for me with their pace up front. And you're playing the back three. Maguire and Lindelof need to be protected in there.
Yeah, so it has to be him or Bailey, don't it?
Bailey's not going in there. Not a hope. He hasn't played in so long in the game this magnitude. It'd be nuts.
It'd just be like Ollie to pick him though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, probably would. Shane just messaged me because he's dropping in and out. He's like, his internet keeps cutting out. He's like, he's gonna try join. It kept bugging. Give Jamie my apologies.
You're good, Shane. Don't worry about it, man. I'm sure we'll get a show. Hopefully, you can get back on, man. Keep trying, but if not, we'll get on together, definitely.
Definitely, 100%. But with my back three, Tuanzebe, Maguire, Lindelof, Alex Telles left wing back, because I think his delivery is going to be well needed tomorrow.
Yeah, could be a good outlet for us to go down that option.
Definitely, 100%. My midfield three tomorrow. Obviously Bruno's in there. I'm going to go with Nemanja Matic starting there tomorrow. I think his experience, his protection is needed tomorrow as well. Shane said, sorry, man, my internet kept cutting out. Don't worry, Shane. If your internet, if you want to even restart your router or something, and come back to us if it gets better in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, get back on if you can, Shane.
We make it number 31 in the Royal Rumble, even though there's like 30 men in it, but you know yourself. My midfield, I'm going to go with Matic in there, and with Donny van de Beek and Bruno Fernandes. I think we need work rate in there tomorrow. Now, I know Scott McTominay gives us that, but for me, McTominay was poor on the weekend, and I think we need experience in there. Donny's experience, Bruno's experience, Matic's experience. You need that in there. And Donny can play that sitting role. We've seen that he can do it. But with the back three, he will have a bit of leeway to get forward when needs be. Mm-hmm. So I think having him and Bruno in the midfield three with the back five behind them, it can only suit him.
I think Matic was left out over the weekend I think they've sat him down and sort of says, look, you're probably going to sit out a couple of games, but we need you for this one. And I think he's probably been briefed a little bit behind closed doors that's what he's been saved for, really, which is management if it works for us.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. For me, then up top, Martial's injured, Cavani's injured. So these were my front two anyway, regardless of the injuries. Anyway,
are they both out? Are they?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I see Sky.
I didn't even know that. I haven't seen nothing today because I've been at work all day. So I've literally just come in, got some food, and jumped on here. I haven't seen nothing with regards to that. That's disappointing. That.
Even for me, my front two in this formation anyway were Greenwood and Rashford. Rashford, you seen tore up a Meccano, a fucking new one when we played him in Old Trafford. We need more. And if he plays the way he played Saturday, I've no doubt he'd tear that defence apart. And again, we've Mason Greenwood up front against them, who for me that was a well taken goal in the last time.
Brilliant goal.
And the fact he got on the score sheet again this weekend.
Yeah.
He's going to be back to that ice cold striker that we all know he can be.
Yeah.
So for me, I think Mason Greenwood starts there. Now look, I know I slagged him off earlier on in the show, and people are going to laugh at me when I say this, but a player that we could probably utilise tomorrow is Daniel James. Because I think with them playing such a high line and them going gung-ho, there's going to be spaces in behind, and he's someone who I think could make an appearance potentially tomorrow. Not from the start, but definitely off the bench. It's an option that Ollie has, considering Martial and Cavani are both out. He might be looking at Dan James in that system. It's quite possible. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I think Ollie might look at the way they play, and he might think I can use a player with pace who can get in behind. Do you know what I mean? Now, look, I don't think Dan James is a long-term option for Manchester United. But in these type of games where a team plays a high line, he's an asset. Daniel James is an asset in these games. I think he could.
I think he's got something to offer us, Dan James, man. I just feel like a little bit of confidence. Like he's not at the level that we need him to be, like you said, though, but it's I know we were both on a different channel yesterday, and some of the lads made really good points. I think you might have even mentioned it as well, Keane, that you're going to have players in the team that have got different qualities and different levels of footballer as well. You're not going to have 11 world-class players. So you're going to need to call on people like that. And honestly, I know we've went through the teams and the formations that we would pick, Keane, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dan James plays tomorrow from the start. But I think we need to be very careful that we're not sitting too deep and trying to catch them, because they've got a lot of quality. And the fella I was on about earlier, Sabitzer, he didn't play. So he's a big player for them. He makes them tick. And they've got players like Campo that are very sort of educated on the ball with regards to their passing ability and their ball retention and stuff like that. So I feel like we've got to get whatever team he is going with and whatever formation, he's got to be absolutely certain that this is going to get the job done, because I don't fancy going 1-0 down against them. I don't think it would be the same result as it was at the weekend. But I would probably go something along the lines of what you've gone. Obviously, as I say, I've sort of, to anybody listening, I've sort of come in, had my dinner and jumped straight on here with Keane, so I didn't know that Cavani was out. That's massively disappointing. It's give me a little lump in my throat when you told me that, Keane. I was like, oh no, like absolutely love Cavani, man. I'm Cavani FC at the moment, but who doesn't need Tarzan when you're up against it, eh?
You're Cavani FC at the moment. Are you more Cavani FC than you are Bruno FC?
Oh no, of course not. But I've do you know what it is though? I've watched a lot of Cavani for years, and sorry, I'm just going to get a drink because I've got a little bit of a dry throat.
No bother.
I've loved him for years. Like I thought at Napoli he was absolutely amazing. He was one of them players when he was like sort of 25, 26 that I was like, I hope one day Man U sign him, and we've got him at like 33. So it's like same with Ibrahimovic, but at least we've got him. And Tarzan FC, ain't I? But I can't take your Bruno propaganda, mate. You're too good at it, so I need to pick somebody else.
Yeah, my Bruno propaganda. Even remember on the show last night on the other channel.
Yeah.
Last night, Ben had me said, Keane, educate the masses with Bruno Fernandes, and I was like, yes. Everybody knows the crack that you've got that sussed out when you need some Bruno love, like. Bruno Love, do you know what I mean? And just for our Irish viewers, Republic of Ireland have drawn Portugal, lads, in the World Cup qualifiers, which means Keane is going to see Bruno Fernandes in the Aviva Stadium. So that is going to be some crack. Even though I'll be cheering for Ireland, but if Bruno happens to score a goal, he'd be the only player I won't do.
Propaganda FC.
Bruno would be the only player on that pitch when Ireland play Portugal that won't get an earful from me. Do you know what I mean? I think he'll be the only, and Ronaldo obviously.
You know you'll be cheering for Cristiano.
Yeah, I'd be crying again.
It's an interesting draw, that actually. One of my best friends from back home, he's from Portugal. I know I've mentioned him before, Keane. So he'll be watching that. He's an absolute football fanatic, big Benfica fan. So he'll be licking his lips at the prospect of playing Ireland, probably, because he's not in too much form. But it'll be interesting. So I'll have viewers in the group chat, and I'll have him sort of messaging me about the game like he does all the time. So
win 1-0, Shane Duffy winner from a corner. You know yourself.
Yeah,
I think we haven't scored a goal in 7 games. So look, enough for Ireland. They depressed the life out of me. But anyway, on to obviously score predictions for tomorrow. In terms of your prediction, how do you think it's going to go down?
I'm on Doug's level a little bit. I know he's obviously not with us on the show anymore. He's had to nip off, but I'm on his level. I think it will be quite a cagey game. I don't think we're going to see the cricket score that we've seen at Old Trafford. I think Nagelsmann's far too wise to let that happen again. But I think it's going to be a cagey one. I think it'll be 2-1, and I'll be as brutally honest as I can, Keane. You know, I like to sort of say what's on my mind, and I feel like it can go either way. Obviously, I hope it goes our way, but I feel like they've got the capabilities to hit us just as hard as we can hit them. So I'm hoping that we can get the job done and get the points that we need. But I think it's going to be an uphill task. As I say, I'm expecting a real sort of heavyweight boxing match tonight, where they're out maybe for 45 minutes and work the other team out and see if they can sort of then push on in the second half and then hit the final blow. But hopefully we're the one that's not laying on the canvas after it, if I'm going to refer it to a boxing match, which is quite weird, but hopefully the viewers will know.
Jamie Mackie Murphy will love your boxing match reference, even though
we've got to get on a podcast, me and Jamie, man. Our name's so similar.
Don't worry, look, the Combat Sports podcast is coming soon, but look, we've just been up the walls with the football at the moment.
Shout out to Jamie anyway.
Absolutely, and next week, lads, our weekly armchair Christmas party is live on the channel next week. So we'll be drinking live. I have a lot of activities planned for the live podcast, and also there's going to be a quiz that obviously there's going to be teams on the screen, and obviously, if you're obviously watching, if you're in the comments, we want you to get involved, obviously, as well. And obviously, look, if you're watching for the first time, smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. And, look, any support we get goes a long, long way in terms of help. So we want to hit our target of 150 subscribers for Christmas. We're 4 off it now. And so, look, hopefully we get there.
Connor, get subscribing to the channel, mate. I know you're still watching. You always hound me at work, telling me what streams I'm on tonight. So if you're in here still, Connor, get subscribing, mate. These guys are from Ireland as well. Connor's from Ireland, so he's from Derry, but I like to tell him he's from Londonderry just to wind him up. But he's a good kid, Connor. He's quite into his YouTube and that. So get on these boys, Connor. They're from your neck of the woods, man. They do a lot of good work.
Absolutely. For me, I'm going to go with my score prediction now, Jamie. Again, I'm in the same camp as you and Doug. I don't think it's going to be the cricket score that we had at Old Trafford. I think it's going to be a much tighter affair. However, I do think that we can get the result. For me, all day I've been saying 1-1. I've been saying 1-1. I think United will draw 1-1. I think we'll go 1 down, but I think we'll get a goal. But since I started the show, I'm starting to feel a bit more positive, because that's just me. I'm feeling them vibes now, just like how Ollie feels them vibes in the dressing room. You know yourself. Everyone says he's all vibes, no tactics. Go away, and every manager has tactics. You're all just agenda driven, but look, we won't go there. For me, I'm gonna go with 2-1 Manchester United. I'm gonna go with Marcus getting on the score sheet again and again, just for our listeners out there now, and people are watching live now, and people are going to watch later on tonight or tomorrow or whenever.
Matic.
No. Man to score the winner again, and he's going to get his title. The best midfielder in the world, Bruno Fernandes, gets on the score sheet, and it's not a penalty tomorrow. It's from open play, and he shuts up all the doubters again because he's a world-class player, and he is the best. I'm about to say the best player in the world. He's not the best player in the world, but he's the best midfield player in the world at the moment.
Just on the back of that, Keane, as well, I'd like to just mention this on behalf of Keane. If it is a penalty, we don't actually care if we win the game.
100%. 100%. So, we've looked ahead to Leipzig. Now we obviously have to address, I suppose, the elephant that's in the room is obviously of Mino Raiola, came out again today and basically said that Paul Pogba's time at Manchester United is more or less done. For me, look, I was already kind of at my wit's end with Pogba. If people watch this podcast, they're watching live now, or if they're watching later on, go back on the previous podcasts, and I've already been in the camp of sell Pogba in the summer, wait till the Euros is over, wait for him to have a good Euros, and then cash in then. For me, I'm Pogba out now. I'm Pogba out now. With the position we're in and the positive kind of results we've been getting lately, the last thing we need now is that piece of shit, Mino Raiola, coming out and saying all this on the eve of arguably our biggest game of the season.
Yeah.
And he does this every time. It's not just Mino Raiola. It's Didier Deschamps. It's his fucking brother. It's everyone related to him. Bar himself starts coming out saying these things. And he's not coming out saying that all this is bullshit, because he's not. For me, Paul Pogba needs to go. And if we can get a decent price tag for him in January now, I take him. If we get, like people are saying, get the 89 million back, try to get the 100 million that we probably could get from him, guys, go Euros. I'm not even in that camp anymore. I'm saying, if you get 65 to 70 million for Paul Pogba now, take it. Just take the money and leave him go, because the last thing we need now is the dressing room to be divided. And another thing we need, if we're going to keep him at the club and we're going to play him, and he doesn't get his move, he's going to down tools. That's going to happen. Yeah. It's gone too far now that, like, in the time that Paul Pogba's been there, we've never had a situation where Mino Raiola has come out, or his brother has come out, or anyone else has come out and said his time at Man United is done. In the 4 or 5 years that he's been back at the club, that's never happened. Like, they've never said his time is done. But then to say that 24 hours before a big game, there's no coming back from this. And if people can go on my social media, they can go onto my Twitter, right? I watched the West Ham game Saturday, and start this podcast, I praised Paul Pogba. I said he played well on the weekend. He was very tidy in midfield. And you can go on my Twitter, you can see my handle there. I tweeted out, this man wrecks my head because I can see how good he can be. I wish he could be more consistent in a Manchester United shirt.
Yeah.
And like I don't doubt his quality, but he just needs to go. I'm not going to go too much in. I'm not going to swear, because if I say what I really feel, look, you know yourself. Like, I'll just go overboard. Like in terms of his attitude.
I think you're speaking on behalf of the whole fan base's thoughts on it, mate. I think there's probably 95% that are in, 98% maybe that are in your camp, mate. Nobody's ever questioning his footballing ability, but it's just a circus with him.
Yeah, it's a circus.
I'm up to here with it. I've had enough of it as well.
And people can go back. Like I've defended this man for so long. I've defended him for so long. But I'm just done with it. I'm done with it because he hasn't, he hasn't tore down the world for us in the last year.
He hasn't. And
we've a player there now, Bruno, who's tearing it up. Even when he's not playing well, he's still contributing.
I think the difference, Keane, like I'll obviously let you sort of go in a minute, but this is relative to what we're talking about. I think the difference between Bruno and Pogba at the moment, forgetting their footballing abilities for a minute, I think you can tell that Fernandes just loves the club and wants the club to progress. What's Dylan saying? Pogba is a Hollywood player. He wouldn't get into any top team in Europe. I don't know about that, Dylan. I think he probably would, but I think he's 50 million maximum. Maybe a little bit more. I think Keane's about 65, 70 million. I'd probably sort of entertain that as an opening bid, maybe. But I don't think he's too bothered, Keane, and that's the thing that annoys me with it. It's all even like his goal, for example, at the weekend, absolutely fantastic finish, amazing goal. But it's all this to the ear, and I'm like, wait a minute, like that's only one goal. You ain't been playing for the past 2 months. You know, it's all well and good putting your hands to your ear when you're belter. You probably do that every day in training. You know, I'm just not really about that. I like humble footballers. You know, like I like footballers that try hard, that have got ability, but they'll play for the shirt. I just don't get that vibe with Pogba. But sorry to cut you off, mate. I just wanted to sort of differentiate between Bruno and Pogba, because there's no competition at the moment in that. One's playing fantastic and wants to play for the badge on the shirt. One's playing poorly and scoring a really good goal and expecting everyone just to forget about his last couple of years and the whole circus act that comes with him because he scores one good goal. Doesn't work like that. He's more interested on the name and the back of the shirt instead of the one on the front.
Yeah, 100%. And for me, I'm just going to say my final piece on Pogba is just, I'm going to state it again. I'm never doubting his ability as a football player. I'm not going to beat around the bush. On Paul Pogba's day, he's world class.
Yeah.
But not often he's had that in the Manchester United shirt. I could probably bring up in 2017-18, he was unreal for United.
Yeah.
16-17, he was pretty good too, considering he was playing in a deep role. But since then, what has he I suppose then in Ollie's season, when Ollie came in them first 3 months, when he played in the 8 alongside Herrera and Matic, he was good. But again, that's only a short spell. But he's never done it in a prolonged period for Manchester United. Consistent. And that's a big problem. And I think Bruno has shown that he's doing that in the 11 months that he's been here. He's been being consistent. Even when Bruno's stinking the place out. Even when he is misplacing passes, so he's losing the ball, he's trying everything, but he still scores goals and he still gets assists. And that's what Shane said it as well. He's like, Bruno has production. See, that's the thing. Like, Bruno is producing. I'm not making this a Bruno versus Pogba thing. I'm simply not.
Yeah.
But I have to bring it back to that point. Pogba is consistently inconsistent. That's the thing. And I think we're at a stage now where we can't be just letting this circus continue. If we actually want to progress, he commits his future to the club, tells Mino Raiola, his brother and his national manager, to shut up, or you go. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's it for me now. I think Ollie needs to show balls here now. I think that's all he needs.
Yeah.
He needs to show some balls here and say, look, he needs to sit down with Pogba and say, look, you either want to stay or you don't. If you want to stay, you're out of the team. It's simple as that. If we don't get you to go in January, you're not in the team till the summer and you're going to be unfit for the Euros. We need to do that. We need to say, look, we pay your wages every week. So at the end of the day, if you're not going to pull your weight, you know what I mean? We're not going to use you. Like,
I'm a big.
He's not bigger than our club.
That's it.
United, and I think, no player is bigger than Manchester United. And I want to make that very clear. Like, I love Roy Keane, right? Roy Keane, I was named after Roy Keane, right? He is a legend of this club. When that thing happened, the whole Middlesbrough thing and the MUTV video came out, and when Fergie seen a player was kind of getting supposedly too big for the boots, Fergie knew when to get rid of a player.
Yeah.
When he knew time was to go. Do you know what I mean? I'll bring that example up. Ollie needs to do the same now. Ollie was brought up through Fergie. All he knows is process.
Mm-hmm.
If a player thinks they're getting too big for the United shirt, it's time to move on. It's simple.
Yeah, I think we've got to have that mentality. I think you're absolutely spot on. I've got sort of take as you, mate, but I'll try and go a little different sort of direction with my viewers. I'll try and keep it short and sweet. But I think I've had this conversation with you before, Keane. I'm not sure if we were on air or off air, mate, but obviously we chat quite a lot off of air as well. So But I generally don't think he wants to be at the club. I don't think he would be at the club if COVID hadn't happened. If the club still had the money and the financial powers that they had, your likes of Juventus's, your Real Madrid, your Barcelona's, your PSG's, maybe, I don't think he would be here. And maybe we would have got rid of him, and maybe we would have got Jadon if we would have had more money. Because that's what that deal come down to. We wanted the player, he wanted to move. We just couldn't sort of get the funds together to make it happen, unfortunately. But anyway, we'll not go on to that because that's a whole different story. But I feel like he wouldn't be here now if the world would have stayed the same as it was, sort of thing. I think the financial restrictions of certain clubs has hindered that deal. I think that was definitely on the table. I think United would have had offers from Real Madrid, from Barcelona, maybe from Juventus, definitely. And now they're looking to get rid of players, so they ain't going to be coming back in for Pogba anytime soon. I just don't know without, and mentioned Doug again. I thought some of the points he made when he was on was absolutely brilliant. And he did say it's got to be the right deal for the club, and I'm completely on track with him there. There has to be a sensible move for United. We hold the cards in this situation, just like Dortmund done to us in the summer. They held the cards. They were like, look, you pay the fee or you don't get the player. It's as simple as that. And in the end, we didn't pay the fee. We didn't get the player. So I feel like we're in the same sort of boat as Dortmund were in the summer to us. So I feel like we need to play hardball, and we need to make sure we're getting the right one. If it's a player swap,
hardball for the fee. Even if we don't play hardball for the fee, we need to play hardball with Pogba. It needs to be simple as this: is either you want to be at the club or you don't. If you don't want to be at the club, fine, we cut our ties. I think United only recently, about 6 weeks ago, offered him a contract extension. Mino Raiola has come out and said today we're not signing any extension. They've kind of made it like the Pogba camp has already made it very clear that that he doesn't want to be there. I think this is what Ollie needs to step up here, because people say like Ollie's former teammates say that he's ruthless. We need to see this now, because the last thing we need is him to stay in this side and him to down tools if things aren't going his way.
Yeah, I think I'm convinced that. I don't know about you, and if there's anybody in the comments that disagrees with me as well, please let me know, because I love interacting with you guys if you've got something to ask me or anything like that. But I'm going to say this. I think Beak was bought as a replacement for Pogba in the squad. I think we just didn't get Pogba out. I think it was either going to be Grealish or it was going to be Van der Beek, and we got Van der Beek, which I really like Grealish. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see him at United.
If we get rid of Pogba, I'm telling you one thing: if we get good dollar for him, I know we'll have our own money in the summer. But for me, you get rid of him, you get rid of that absolute dickhead, you get rid of him. You then go on, you get a defensive midfielder in to shore up that midfield to provide more freedom for the likes of Donny Van de Beek and Bruno Fernandes, and then you go in, you break the bank for Jack Grealish. I don't like him for his what he done to Ireland. Right, that's water under the bridge for me at this stage. He's a quality football player. He's fantastic.
He is, and this is the thing. Like you need to let quality go and bring quality in. I think United have sort of not been very good at that in the past. Seem to be getting the transfer policy a little bit better now. They're bringing in quite quality players in a certain age range. Obviously not Cavani; he was a sort of one-off signing. But I feel like they have got a strategy going forward. There's obviously a lot of talk as well about Brandt, isn't there? The sporting director that they're potentially looking at as well. So there could be some movement on there. I read an article. Can't remember who wrote it, but it was a cracking article about United. I can't remember which Glazer it was, but he wants to sort of rejuvenate the. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I know the article. I read the same.
Yeah, it was a really good read actually. If anybody's watching this and it was theirs, it was fantastic.
Funnily enough, I think it was Dylan's article on United.
Yeah, it was somebody's. I don't know. It was either your lads or it was the All for United boys. It was someone from that group anyway. One of them two groups that writ it. It was a cracking read actually about the Glazers wanting to sort of revolutionise that side of the club and start getting the recruitment right in that. And that's what you want to hear. I mean,
though, because you look at the Glazers and they've had Ed Woodward there being their yes man for nearly 15 years. Do you see them wanting to change anytime soon? Because any top level director of football, Jamie, that's going to want to come into this club, they're going to want assurances that they get to do their job and they get to get the reins on that. I don't think Ed Woodward or Glazers let them have that, because that changes their model completely. I'd love to be wrong here with regards.
Yeah. Do you know what I think on that, Keane, as well? And you might disagree. The people in the comments might disagree. But this is just my take on it. When I come onto your shows, you know what I'm like off camera. I'm quite honest. I speak what I think. Some people don't agree with it, and that's cool. I'm really open to that. I don't have a problem if people don't agree with me. If they've got their own agenda on certain things, that's great as well. And you give people like myself good platforms to come and speak about it. But what I would say on it is I feel like United's scouting network in the last couple of seasons has been quite lazy, to be honest. We're always linked with the same players. We're always in the market for the next big thing coming out of England, which was Grealish. And maybe it's time to sort of bring somebody in with that's got a sort of scope on European football and can potentially attract players that we don't know at the moment. You know, like nobody knew Kante and players like this before he went and come to the Premier League. And to me, it's just lazy scouting when you're linked with the window's open again. So Man U want Grealish, and they want Kante if he's available. It's always the same players, you know. And I'm just like, nah. Do you know what it is? I feel like we've got to have a little look at that aspect of the club and maybe go in a different direction and start looking at leagues that are producing really good players. I mean, I know we signed a couple of young players from Partizan Belgrade a few years ago. I know they didn't necessarily work out when we signed Zoran Tosic, but going and having a look at players like that, I know Manchester City just signed a boy from them that's supposed to be quality that was linked with United.
Look at a couple of signs we made at the end of the window. It shows we might be going in that direction. Because
exactly. Traore is a cracking player, you know. I'm really excited. He's a phenomenal talent, he is.
In the words of Shane Dowdy, he's leading us to title 21.
Apparently I haven't seen loads of him, but because he doesn't play a lot of football for Atlanta. But if anybody watches Atlanta, Gasperini plays some of the most attacking football in the world. They're fantastic. We're on the game, and they obviously against Liverpool the other day as well. So, but I'm really excited about him. And Facundo looks a classic little player as well, don't they? I've seen quite a lot of him in the under-23s. He looks like a very traditional right-wing player. He can get to the touchline.
He's like Dan James, but he has product. That's what
I like. Yeah, I really like him, actually. Palestri, he looks like a quality little player. I'm really excited about him. Do you know what it is as well? A lot of people say about the whole Mason debate and stuff like that, but we've got some fantastic players coming through our academies. You know, we really have, you know, I'm really excited. Yeah, Galbraith, we've got Hannibal.
Garner's he's playing fair well at Watford at the moment as well. Like, he'll come back short. Yeah,
Garner's a really good player as well. We've got some fantastic players. Ethan Laird's a cracking right back. We've got some really quality players in under 18s. Hugel as well. He's scoring goals for fun. He looks like he's like a Peter Crouch with a bit of pace, and he can bag when he gets the chance as well. So we've got an absolutely fantastic future, and we need to start seeing these players come in now. United have put a lot of Luis Ocampos is a great player, by the way. I didn't quite catch who said that there because I missed it, but I just seen the name. Dylan, good show. Yeah, I agree with that. They've got a really good team, Dylan Leo. They're producing quite a lot of good young players.
Yeah.
So as I say, maybe we need to sort of go and look at the likes of Leo, go and look at the likes of like Kamara at Marseille, cracking defensive midfielder. Half of football fans don't even know about him. He's a brilliant player. The Portuguese market's always treated us well. There's some fantastic players at Sporting Lisbon, Benfica, Porto. We need to start branching out a little bit with the scouting. I think we've done really well in the Portuguese market, so why not go and have a little look again? You know, there's some really good young midfield players coming out of Portugal at the moment at Sporting Lisbon. They've got some cracking players. So yeah, I'm all up for the idea of us bringing in a director of football, and I'm never going to sit here and say like and praise the Glazers because I can't stand them. So I'm not gonna get on that that train.
If anyone wants to go back,
yeah,
before on this podcast, and you want to hear my rant on the Glazers, go back to the start of the season because I went to town. I went to town. But Jamie, one final question before we actually get to the draw. I want you to stay here and witness that as well. For our weekly armchair kickoff and FIFA 21 draw. One final question: do you sell Paul Pogba in January? Yes or no?
I don't think January is a very good market to do that deal. If it was the right deal, and we could potentially get a Delete or someone from Juventus, I know he's not sort of doing as well as they were hoping out there. The league's just not right for him. I think he would fit in the Premier League perfectly. If we can get the right deal, and shout out to Doug as well, who was on earlier. If you're late to this show, go back to the start when we finish this because he made some cracking points. Thought he was spot on with them. So make sure you listen from the start if you're just jumping on this podcast now. For anyone in the comments, but if it's the right deal, yes, Keane. But I'm not. I will say I think your opinion's absolutely spot on, mate. I get on really well with you off camera as well. You know that. I will disagree with you though about one thing that you've said tonight, and that's the value of Pogba, mate. I wouldn't be shortchanging just to get him out the door. I think we've got to get the right deal financially. Your argument states as to why you think that, and I thought you were spot on with that. But I would definitely be holding out for a good coin.
Yeah,
but
I think look, ultimately, I've said last week that we should do that, but that was before this came out. Didn't this come out?
I think that though, Keane. I think that United can't go into a market and say no, we're not paying 100 million euros for Sancho. That's absolutely ridiculous. And then us just shortchange ourselves in getting rid of another player of our own at top level. Do you know what I mean? So I think we've got to be a little bit careful with that, because if we're going to get rid of people on the cheap, and we're very good at it as well. We've done it with Smalling in the summer, which a lot of people don't like Chris Smalling, but I rate him in comparison to some of our centre-backs. He's definitely better than Bailey. He's definitely better than Rojo. He's better than Shaw, and he's a little bit more experienced than Tuanzebe at the moment. And we shortchanged Roma and give them in for practically nothing. So I think we've got to be careful that we're not turning into that club that is going to be paying top dollar for other players, but we'll just sell for peanuts ourselves. So I don't know what your take is on that, but that's my stance on it. But when you presented what you were saying, I understand where you come from. That you've probably hit this and thought, I've had enough. Like, I just want him out of the club. This circus has got to stop, which I totally agree with. He is the elephant in the circus, and we don't need a circus at the moment. We've got a big enough circus when we lose a game on social media. So it's a case of it's not a disagreement as in I'm saying you're wrong. It's a disagreement as in I don't know if I would do that, but I do get your point.
If you go back and watch the show last week, I actually said on the show last week before Raiola came out, I said last week, yes, you go out and you wait till the Euros over and you sell Pogba for roughly about 80, 90 million in the summer, 100 million, whatever you get for him after he has a good Euros.
Yeah.
And now I'm just in the camp of get fucking rid of him because I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of the circus. That's my stance on it. But look, enough about him tonight. And again, look, we both went to our score predictions. We both went 2-1 Manchester United. For tomorrow, hopefully we get the win. I'm wearing my all black United top, the vintage one. And Jamie, I think it's 1968 jersey, is it?
Got the old vintage on. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to my old man for giving me this as a birthday present.
Unreal. So we've both gone 2-1 Manchester United. I've gone with Marcus Rashford getting on the score sheet and Bruno Fernandes. And Jamie, who's your goal scorers tomorrow?
I'm going to agree with you, mate. I think Rashford will definitely be. He's going to. I just pray that he's on it from the start, because if he is, he can win us the game tomorrow. Yeah. But I'm hoping that shoulder injury sort of stays away for 90 minutes and doesn't give him any bother, and he can just concentrate on his game, because we really need him tomorrow.
He came off the bench the other night, though. He looked okay.
Yeah, he looked fantastic. I don't think you'll be too far away, but I don't know. I think we can maybe nick a goal in a situation that we don't think we're going to get a goal from. Maybe
All I hear is Bruno.
Post, boom. Maybe Big Victor coming up with a header from a corner. I don't know. I just feel like it might be one of them games where you'll get certain moments, and we've just got to make them count tomorrow. But I know I can speak on your behalf because you're the same as me. You love the club, and everybody in the comments. Maybe not Connor because he doesn't support Man United. I'm not going to tell you who he does support because you'll all judge him. But nah, he's not a Spurs fan. But he'll curse me tomorrow if I say it. So he sits next to me in the office and he talks my ear off as it is. So I'm not going to drop who he supports. But I think it's going to be a tough game tomorrow, mate. I don't really know goal scorers, to be honest. But if we're going to get one, I do fancy either Bruno or Marcus. But I don't know. Something tomorrow is just telling me maybe big Beckenbauer might nod one. I don't know. Maybe Lindelof.
Shout out Saeed, Harry Beckenbauer.
Or Alex Telles free kick from the edge of the area. Who knows?
Absolutely. Right. So we talked about United tonight. We talked about Paul Pogba. We talked about the previous game against West Ham. So this is the part of the show where most of the people have been waiting for now, is the weekly armchair kickoff FIFA 21 tournament draw. So we've had the last 16, and we've a lot of good games the last 16. I actually made an appearance in the last 16 myself, even though I lost all my group games because one of the players pulled out and I was a last minute wild card. I got knocked out in the last 16, 6-5 on aggregate today, so I'm definitely out. I'm gone. So I am absolutely gone from this tournament. So
I was gutted, man. I was gutted. My pad broke, man. I've had an issue with that pad for ages, and I was playing some FIFA offline, and I was pressing the X button, and it was sticking, and I was like, oh no! And then you couldn't have timed it any better. About 2 hours after, you were like, oh, can you play your game, Jamie? I was like, no.
Right.
I was gutted though.
So with the quarterfinal draw as well, lads, this will be the route to the semi-finals and the final. So I know the people who are playing this are probably watching now. So this will be the route from the semi-finals to the final. Same concept, 2 legs, just like the Champions League would be. Play 2 legs, away goals count, because I know we had a bit of controversy with that in the last 16. We won't get into it now. Away goals count. If the away goals are ruled out, and it's a draw, then you play a third game and it's winner take all basically. So when I do the draws, the teams today, so obviously there's 4 games I'm going to draw out now. The first 2 obviously will play, the first 4 teams will play out their games, and obviously the winners then games then go on and play each other in the semi-finals and in the final.
It's all about the champions.
So as you can see here now, obviously there's all the names and the thing, and just to show, obviously I'm not rigging the draw, you know yourselves. I'm looking at the camera right now, and I'm looking at Jamie in his 1968 Man United jersey. So I'm going to draw the first name out of the bowl there. So the first person in the quarterfinal draw of the weekly armchair kickoff tournament, and he got through on away goals in the last time, Shane Fogarty. So Shane Fogarty, you will be at home in the first game. This is like the Champions League draw. You're under some pressure here. So Shane you have drawn the current favourite of the tournament, Owen Carney. So Owen Carney, you'll be away in your first game, and you're up against Shane Fogarty.
Cracking tie that.
Cracking tie. So the next person drawn in the weekly armchair kickoff, FIFA 21 inaugural FIFA tournament. Man who bet me in my group, Keane O'Sullivan. So Keane O'Sullivan, you'll be at home in your first game. And Keane O'Sullivan, you will play. Jesus Christ, I fold these up there weird. Keane O'Sullivan, you will play Sean Maroney. So weekly armchair kickoff podcast regular Sean Maroney, you will be up against Keane O'Sullivan, and that's the first part of the quarterfinal draw. So the winner of Shane Fogarty versus Owen Carney will play Keane O'Sullivan or Sean Maroney. So that's the first part of the quarterfinals draw. So Shane Fogarty will be up against Owen Carney, Keane O'Sullivan will be up against Sean Dowley, and the winners of them games will play each other in the semis. And so we've 4 names left. So next up in the weekly armchair kickoff, FIFA 21 inaugural tournament. The man who pulled off the shock and knocked out Sean Cronin in the last round, one of the tournament favourites, William Bryant.
There he is. I've been waiting for him. William, after yesterday, I've been waiting for you to come out of that hat, mate.
So William, you're going to be at home in your first game. Who is it? Who has William Bryant drawn?
William, it's time to go.
It might be time to go to William out of the tournament because he's possibly got one of the hardest draws in the tournament.
He's a good guy, man, William.
Ian Gilman. So that's a tasty affair. See,
that was about Arteta Keane, by the way. That it's time to go.
Oh, stop. So it's William Bryant against Ian Gilman for the next quarterfinal game. And so there's a few tasty affairs there. So that's whoever wins that game could probably get to the final, to be honest. So William, you're at home in the first game against Ian Gilman. So next out in the quarterfinal draw, Luke Kiley, the man who knocked me out at the tournament today, 6-5 on aggregate. Luke Kiley, and you have drawn. You're home the first leg, Luke. And geez, I folded this up. Very weird. Another good player in this tournament, Graham Blanche. So Graham Blanche, you have drawn Luke Kiley, and you'll be away in your first leg. So just to recap on the draw, Shane Fogarty has drawn Owen Carney, and Keane O'Sullivan has drawn Sean Dowley. So the winner of Owen Carney and Shane Fogarty and Keane O'Sullivan and Sean Dowley would play each other in the semi-finals. And then obviously the other end of the quarter-final draw, William Bryant against Ian Gilman and Luke Kiley versus Graham Blanche. They'll obviously play each other in their quarter-final games, and then they'll play each other in their respective semi-finals. And then obviously that'll go all the way through to the final itself. And obviously the prize for the remaining 8 participants in this tournament is a €25 one-for-all voucher, which I have already got. I've sent a picture into all the group chats that's there, and so I will be awarding that to the winner when they're through, and obviously they win it. So social distancing permitting, obviously, lads, because you know yourself with the whole COVID restrictions. And we've got a comment in there from Ian Gilman. He says Carney the favourite. And then I think he's referring to his draw with William. Then he said, nice, easy draw. So I think Ian's already talking smack towards you. But again, look, that's the draw. And these games will be played out by the weekend, I'd say. And we will have our winner announced on the podcast as well, across our podcast socials, through Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It will be posted through there as well. And look, I'm just going to put the banner up there for you as well. You can follow at Weekly Armchair on Twitter, and also do subscribe to the Weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast, as well as do like and share the video as well, because every bit of support we get goes a long way towards helping us reach our goal and help our channel grow as well. So look, Jamie, thanks very much for coming on this evening, and thanks again to Doug, who was on earlier on in the show. Very good show this evening. I did enjoy it, even though I did slay Paul Pogba for most of it. But look, we move on to a massive game tomorrow in Manchester United season. I think our biggest game this season so far. It does a lot to shape our season. So let's hope we get the 3 points. Even though a draw is enough to get through, but let's go out and get the win. Let's go out and make a statement and look ahead to the derby on the weekend. And then just for a little announcement, obviously for our next show this Thursday, I am going head-to-head with Manchester City Fan TV live here on the Weekly Armchair Kickoff, leading up to the derby on the weekend. So if you want a bit of entertainment on Thursday, lads, 8 o'clock Thursday night.
Yes, get on that, boys.
There you have it, because there's a lot of debate to have on that show. A lot of debate. And one preview I'm going to give you, Kevin De Bruyne versus Bruno.
I knew he was going to drop that.
So, you know,
I feel like I know you so well, Keane, and I've actually never even met you in person. I love it, man.
the propaganda is coming, but
Good show, man. Good to get back on. Good to get back in front of the weekly armchair faithful. Enjoyed all the comments from Dylan and shame Doug couldn't a little bit longer. Really enjoyed it as well with him, and we'll get back on one with Shane as well. Shame he couldn't stick about. Obviously had a little bit of issues with his internet, but definitely do another one, Shane. As I say, appreciate you having me on and being part of this channel. It's brilliant.
yeah, absolutely. And I do appreciate you coming on, Jamie. Definitely have you on again soon. Look, we have plenty of content.
Definitely, mate.
Just for everyone as well, our weekly armchair Christmas party is live on the channel next weekend as well. So do check that out. Whether we're having drinks, whether we're having the football quiz live on the channel, we will be on our teams. There's going to be about 10 of us on the screen. And so we'll be having a few bottles. You know yourself, anything and everything will be said on the channel. So do tune in for that. It's gonna be fun. And so look, Jamie, thanks very much for coming on. Thanks everyone for watching. And again, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And look, we'll be back Thursday with our Derby preview. Come on, United.